Welcome back, students. This is the third video on the internal structure of pons. This is at the level of the presence of the trigeminal nuclei, motor and sensory. Right, the first video, the previous video was at the level of the caudal portion of the pons, which was at the level of the facial colliculi. But this is at the proximal portion, the cranial portion or the upper part of the pons, which is at the level of, of the motor and sensory nuclei of the trigeminal nerve. Okay. If you will see this section, okay, this is showing an striking feature is that there is no fourth ventricle which is in the open part. Okay, here the cavity of the fourth ventricle is seen. Okay, this is the cavity of the fourth ventricle, which is showing you also the superior cerebellar peduncles. Okay, this is superior cerebellar peduncle, and it is also showing the roof of the fourth ventricle, just the beginning of the roof, and this is the superior medullary velum. Superior medullary velum. This is just a white matter sheet extending between the two superior cerebellar peduncle. Okay. Now, if you see this section, as I said that the basilar part, this is the basilar part of the section of the pons will remain the same. Only this is the tegmental part of the section has shown the changes as compared to that of the lower section. See here, if you compare this section from the lower section, there were so many gray nuclei, okay, gray matter collections which was in the form of the nuclei. But here few nuclei are seen here, okay, and then the open part of the fourth ventricle has become a closed part of the fourth ventricle, showing the roof also, showing the roof. Let us see now what are the changes has taken place in the internal part, that is in the internal structure of the tegmental part of the pons here. Okay, so we are on the gray matter. If you will see the gray matter, there will be the two collection of the gray matter on either side, and this is in the form of the motor and sensory nucleus. This is the principal sensory nucleus. I will just label principal or the main, okay, sensory nucleus. Why it is called as principal or main sensory nucleus of the trigeminal nerve or the fifth cranial nerve? Because there are many sensory nucleus of the trigeminal nerve. I will just draw the diagram, a very rough diagram of the three sensory nucleus. This is that principal or the main sensory nucleus at the upper level of pons, and lower down there is an elongated sensory nucleus which is the spinal nucleus of the trigeminal nerve. Okay, this is the spinal nucleus of the trigeminal nerve which we have seen at the lower level. This is the main sensory nucleus of the trigeminal nerve, and going into the medulla oblongata there will be another sensory nucleus. This is called as mesencephalic nucleus. Okay, meson. So there are cephalic nucleus. There are three sensory nucleus. Okay, out of this is the main sensory nucleus. The spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve we have seen at the lower level in the medulla also. This was that spinal nucleus of trigeminal, carrying the pain, touch and temperature fiber from the face region. Okay, now this is the main sensory nucleus. That's why it is called as the main or principal sensory nucleus of the trigeminal nerve. It is situated just lateral to that of the motor nucleus of the trigeminal nerve. And as I said that this nucleus below is continuous with that of the spinal nucleus of the trigeminal, and above it will continue with the mesencephalic nucleus of the trigeminal nerve. Okay. Now, the motor nucleus, the second nucleus is the motor nucleus of the trigeminal nerve, and it lies, as I said, the medial to the sensory, this nucleus, okay, and this nuclei are situated in the reticular formation. So there are scattered gray mass and the network of the white fibers what form the reticular formation, okay, reticular. Then there is a nucleus of the lateral lemniscus. This is named as the nucleus of lateral lemniscus. Now, because this is the lateral lemniscus, I will just write lateral lemniscus, LL. This is also LL, and this is the nucleus of lateral. This is a small nucleus which is placed medial to this lemniscus or the lateral white tract. Okay, this is which is in auditory pathway. Okay, it is. So this nucleus of the lateral lemniscus is considered as the relay nucleus in the auditory pathway. Okay, relay nucleus. And we have seen that the lateral lemniscus was formed by the decussation here of the, from the axons arising from the trapezoid nuclei. Okay, trapezoid nucleus was lateral to the trapezoid body. Okay, see, this is the trapezoid nucleus. So from where this lateral lemniscus was formed here. Okay, it was formed here. So these are the gray matter. So as I said that gray matter are very few in this tegmental part of the upper pons, only the motor and sensory nuclei of the trigeminal nerve and the nucleus of the lateral lemniscus. That's all. Okay. Now let us come to the white matter in the upper part or the tegmental part of the pons. Okay. Here the trapezoid body is here. Yes, this was the same trapezoid as we have seen into the upper level. This was at the upper level, but here it was quite well developed. Here this trapezoid body has started disappearing and it may not be seen even. Okay, so this trapezoid body may not be seen even. Okay, so this may disappear completely. Now the other white matter collections, that is the medial lemniscus. This was the medial lemniscus. This was the trigeminal lemniscus, TL. TL means trigeminal lemniscus, and then it will come the spinal lemniscus. So medial lemniscus, trigeminal lemniscus, spinal lemniscus, and lateral lemniscus. These fibers, bundle or tracts, okay, they are just arranged in the same way as it was arranged into the lower level, that is posterior to the trapezoid body and the nucleus of trapezoid body. Here they are posterior to the trapezoid body only. Now the lateral lemniscus is said to be well developed in the upper part, okay, because it is having a relay nucleus here, or the nucleus of the lateral lemniscus also. Now the ventral or anterior spinocerebellar tract. This is the ventral, which is also called as anterior spinocerebellar tract. So we have seen this tract right from the spinal cord. Okay, in the spinal cord various level, the ventral spinocerebellar tract, which carries the unconscious proprioceptive sensation going to the cerebellum through the superior cerebellar peduncle. So this ventral spinocerebellar tract fibers, now they are merging with the fibers of the superior cerebellar peduncle, superior cerebellar peduncle. Okay, so this is superior. Middle cerebellar peduncle is here. See, this is still laterally. This is just the uppermost part of the middle cerebellar, and this is the superior cerebellar peduncle. So this tract, ventral or anterior spinocerebellar, will fuse with that of the superior cerebellar peduncle, which is placed dorsally to this spinocerebellar tract. Okay, and stretching between these two superior cerebellar peduncle, the roof of the fourth ventricle, that is superior medullary velum, is seen, and this is the closed cavity of the fourth ventricle. This is the floor of the fourth ventricle, in which this medial longitudinal bundle and the sensory and motor nuclei of the trigeminal nerve are just deep to this floor of the fourth ventricle. Okay, fourth ventricle. Okay. Now the superior cerebellar peduncle and superior medullary velum, as I have seen, they are the most posteriormost part, forming the close part of the fourth ventricle, roof of the fourth ventricle. And I said you that the medial longitudinal bundle is here just on the floor of the fourth ventricle. Okay, it is the medial longitudinal bundle, and then ventral to this is the tactospinal tract, TST I have given the name, and just ventral to this also is the rubrospinal tract. They are the same as they were present in the previous section also. This was medial longitudinal bundle, tactospinal tract, and the rubrospinal tract. They were there. So this is the white matter and the gray matter arrangement into the tegmental part of the upper pons. Okay, upper pons, right? I hope that you have understood the internal structure of the pons with the help of the two sections, one at the level of the facial colliculi and another at the level of the sensory nucleus. What will happen that from this main sensory nucleus, the fibers of this sensory fibers will go and end into this sensory nucleus. Okay, so these are the sensory fibers of the trigeminal nerve, but at the same time from the motor fibers will arise along with this sensory. They will travel in the trigeminal nerve. Okay, and these are the motor fibers, so they are the efferent fibers. They will come out, so this will form the trigeminal nerve, which will come out, okay, on the ventral aspect of the pons at the junction of middle cerebral peduncle and the rest of the ventral aspect of the pons. Okay, this completes the internal structure of the pons. Thank you very much for watching this short video.